Okay, picture this. You just landed in Seoul, but you don't know any Korean.
Oh, wow.
And you're trying to order food, but it's like you have to use sign language.
Yeah.
It's super frustrating, right?
It is.
So learning a new language quickly can feel impossible,
Yes.
but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And that's why we're diving deep into an article from the EFYO blog today.
Okay.
It's called How to Learn English Quickly, 10 Tips.
Okay.
We're going to break down these tips, pull out the most useful parts,
Yeah.
and give you some advice on how to speed up your English learning journey.
I think we'll also uncover some interesting insights along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you know that the way adults learn language is totally different from how kids learn their first language?
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that.
So as kids, we kind of just absorb language, right?
Right.
Like we're constantly exposed to it.
Yeah.
And we interact, and we don't even realize that we're learning.
Uh-huh.
But when we're adults, we overthink it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're like, ooh, grammar rules,
Yeah.
and memorization and all that.
Yeah.
But this article, it really stresses going back to that way that kids learn,
Right.
that immersion thing,
Yeah.
even if you're not, living in a place where everyone speaks English.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So the first tip is all about that immersion idea, and it just says read everything.
Wow. Okay.
Not just books, but magazines, websites, even the back of a cereal box.
Seriously.
Anything you can get your hands on.
Okay.
The science behind this is really interesting.
I bet.
When you see written English everywhere,
Yeah.
your brain starts to pick up on patterns naturally.
Uh-huh.
You start to figure out grammar rules without even trying to study them.
Yeah.
Like a kid learning from just being around the language.
Right. Right.
So it's not only about learning new words, it's about training your brain to actually think in English.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's better to read a variety of things, different writing styles, the tone of different things, different vocabulary and all that.
Sure.
It makes you a better English speaker overall.
Okay, so I'm already feeling inspired to go to the library. But
good.
with all this reading, how do I keep track of all these new words?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what I had for breakfast.
Oh, no.
Let alone a word I saw in an article last week.
Right. So that's where tip number 2 comes in.
Okay.
It's actively take note of new vocabulary.
Okay.
The article says to keep a vocabulary journal.
Okay.
Could be like a real notebook or just like a document.
Uh-huh.
But the key is to write the word down with the context.
So not just the word itself.
Right, not just ubiquitous, but more like smartphones have become ubiquitous in modern society.
So you're not just memorizing a definition.
Right.
You're learning how to use the word in a real sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, when I see it in a sentence that I actually understand, it's more likely to stick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like making my own dictionary,
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
One that's just for me and the way I learn best.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so speaking of making things personal, the article mentions that digital immersion is a game changer.
Oh, okay.
It suggests subscribing to podcasts or YouTube channels that match your hobbies.
Oh, that's cool.
So, if I love to bake,
Yeah.
I could listen to a podcast about the history of bread while I'm kneading dough.
That's a great idea.
Or watch a YouTube video on how to make croissants.
Yeah.
And I'd be learning English and about baking and maybe even some French, too.
That's awesome.
It's about making it enjoyable and relevant to me and my life.
Right. Right.
Okay, I'm totally adding some English baking shows to my watch list.
Good idea.
But reading, listening, watching, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you've got to actually speak the language.
Absolutely right.
And that's why tip number 3 is all about talking with real people. As the article puts it, with real live humans.
Right.
Now, this can be a little scary for some people.
Oh, tell me about it.
I remember the first time I tried speaking Spanish abroad, I totally froze up.
Really?
Yeah, I was convinced everyone was judging my awful accent.
We've all been there, I think.
Right.
But the article makes a good point.
Yeah.
It says that being afraid of making mistakes actually stops us from becoming fluent. It suggests finding ways to do language exchanges.
Oh, okay.
Either in person or online.
I've heard of those.
Yeah.
So you team up with a native English speaker who wants to learn your language.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just take turns practicing.
Yeah. There are tons of websites and apps for that now.
Wow, that's great.
And the best thing is that everyone's in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
You're both learning, so there's less pressure.
Right.
You don't have to be perfect.
It's like having someone to support you.
Yeah.
and to help you stay accountable, while also, like, making a friend from a different culture.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
And that actually leads into the next important tip,
Okay.
which is all about asking questions.
Okay.
It sounds simple,
Yeah.
but lots of people learning a language are afraid to ask questions,
Yeah.
especially in a classroom,
Right.
because they're worried about sounding silly
Yeah.
or asking a dumb question.
But there aren't really any deem questions when it comes to learning.
Exactly.
Right.
Curiosity is like fuel for learning.
Right.
So the article encourages you to ask your teacher
Uh-huh.
or look things up online.
Yeah.
Or even like ask other people who are learning English in those online forums.
It's kind of like being a detective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're always looking for clues to figure out how English works.
Totally. And sometimes the best clues come from the most unexpected places.
Oh, yeah.
Like the article suggests taking a lead from the stars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
Learning English from celebrities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, should we be learning English from celebrities?
Exactly.
Okay.
It might sound a bit unusual, but think about it.
Okay.
Celebrities, they're masters of language, right?
Yeah.
They use slang, they use humor, they tell stories, all in their interviews and stuff. And those are all really important parts of speaking English naturally and fluently.
I'm picturing myself watching interviews with, like, insert name of a favorite English-speaking celebrity and, like, searching for those little vocabulary gems.
That's a great idea.
I could see how that'd be a fun way to learn.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the vocabulary, it's also how they say things.
Exactly.
Their pronunciation, their tone of voice, even like little cultural things. It's like having a personal English tutor who's also a famous actor or singer.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, right.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to learning English. I never realized how many resources I already have.
That's great.
So what else is there?
Okay, so now we're going to talk about a tip that's all about taking charge of your learning.
Okay.
It's called Start with What You Really Need.
So it's about being specific about my goals
Yes.
and tailoring my learning to reach those goals.
Exactly.
That seems especially important for people who don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, if you try to learn everything at once, you're just going to get overwhelmed.
Right.
And you'll probably feel discouraged.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on the parts of English that are most important for you, you'll be more efficient. And you'll see results faster.
It's like training for a marathon, you know?
Right.
You wouldn't just start running with no plan.
Yeah.
You'd set goals, make a schedule,
Uh-huh.
focus on building up your endurance and speed.
Right. Exactly.
So if I'm learning English for work,
Yeah.
I might prioritize learning business vocabulary and practice giving presentations.
Yeah.
Or if I'm planning a trip to Europe,
Yeah.
I might focus on conversational phrases
Yeah.
and words related to travel, hotels, and restaurants.
Right.
It's all about making my learning as targeted as possible.
Exactly. So it's really effective.
And that brings us to our final tip.
Okay.
It might be the most important one.
Okay.
The article simply says, don't kick yourself while you're down.
Oh, that's good advice.
The importance of being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
We talked about this before,
Uh-huh.
but it's worth repeating.
It is.
Learning a new language can be tough.
Yeah.
And you're going to hit some bumps along the road.
It's true.
It's so easy to start being negative to yourself when you mess up,
Yeah.
or you feel like you're not learning fast enough.
It's natural to feel that way.
But remember, everyone learns at their own pace,
Uh-huh.
and everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. It's part of the process.
It's like learning to ride a bike, right? You're going to fall a few times,
Mm-hmm.
but you get back on
Yeah.
and keep practicing until you get it. Exactly. So the article wants you to think of your mistakes as chances to learn.
That's a good way to look at it.
Instead of beating yourself up, so instead of saying, I'm so bad at English,
Yeah.
I should say, I'm learning and I'm getting better every day.
I love that. Yeah.
It's about changing your mindset
Right.
from self-criticism to self-encouragement.
Exactly.
And that's what will help you stay motivated and reach your goals.
It really will.
Well, that was quite a journey through unconventional language learning strategies.
Yeah, it was.
My mind is blown.
Mine too.
We covered so much, but there's still more to explore.
That's right.
Welcome back to our deep dive on learning English quickly.
Uh,
Last time we were talking about being kind to yourself
right.
while learning a new language.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get down on yourself when you feel like you're not progressing fast enough.
Yeah, definitely.
But we talked about some good strategies to help with that.
We did.
Like comparing yourself to others can really kill your motivation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better to focus on your own progress.
Right.
Even the little things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every new word you learn, every conversation you have, those are all wins.
Totally.
And those are the things we should be celebrating.
Yeah.
Now, before the break, we were talking about some pretty unusual tips from that EF GoGo blog article.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we go from here?
Okay, so this next tip is about using your social media and stuff to help you learn English.
Oh.
The article calls it Use Your Friends.
Yeah.
It's all about using those connections you already have online.
So, like, instead of scrolling past all those posts in English, I should actually, like, take the time to read them and, like, engage with them.
Yeah.
I'll admit I'm guilty of just skipping over anything that's not in my native language.
It's a common thing to do, for sure.
Right.
But you're already spending time on social media anyway.
Yeah, that's
So why not use it to learn English, too? That's a good point.
It's like sneaking in a little bit of learning without even realizing it.
Plus, it makes it more social.
Yeah.
It's not just me reading alone. I'm actually interacting with real people.
Exactly.
And in real time.
Yeah, and because it's stuff that your friends are already interested in, it'll probably be more interesting for you, too.
Right.
It's win-win.
Okay, I'm sold.
Good.
From now on, I'm going to try to read and comment on at least one English post a day.
That's awesome.
What's the next unusual tip?
Okay, so the next one might surprise you.
Okay.
It's called Learn from the Stars.
Okay.
And it says to choose a native English speaker that you admire.
Okay.
Like an actor, musician, anyone like that.
Oh, intriguing. So instead of just watching their movies or listening to their music, you're suggesting we actually study how they use language.
Exactly.
Okay.
It might sound a little strange.
Yeah, a bit.
But you can learn a lot by watching how they talk. For example, their vocabulary is probably really good.
Yeah, I bet.
And they're probably really good at using humor and telling stories and using slang.
Right.
All those things are super important for speaking English naturally.
Okay, yeah.
And like a native speaker.
So how would I actually do this?
Well, you could try transcribing interviews with your favorite celebrity.
Okay.
And like analyze the words they use.
Yeah.
Or you can watch interviews with subtitles and really pay attention to how they're speaking.
Right.
Not just what they're saying.
So like notice their intonation when they pause, their facial expressions.
All of that adds up to a deeper understanding of English.
It's like a masterclass in English.
It is.
Taught by my favorite celebrity.
Right.
I love that.
And you're more likely to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because you already like this person.
Right.
It makes learning English feel more fun.
Less like work.
Exactly.
This is really changing how I think about learning English.
That's great.
I never realized how many resources I already have.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else is there?
All right, so now we're going to talk about a tip that's about taking control of your learning.
Okay.
The article calls it, start with what you really need.
So this is about getting specific about what I want to learn and tailoring my learning to those goals.
Exactly.
I imagine this is really helpful for people who are short on time.
Yeah, definitely. If you try to learn everything at once, you'll just end up feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
But if you just focus on the parts of English that are most important to you,
yeah,
you'll learn more efficiently. And you'll see results faster.
It's kind of like training for a marathon.
Right.
You wouldn't just start running without a plan.
No.
You'd set goals, make a schedule,
yeah,
and focus on specific things like endurance and speed.
Exactly.
So like if I'm learning English for my job,
yeah,
I might focus on learning business-related vocabulary.
Right.
And practice giving presentations. Or if I'm learning English for travel, I might focus on conversational phrases and vocabulary about transportation, hotels, restaurants.
That's a good idea.
So it's about being really strategic to make my learning as effective as possible.
Exactly.
And that brings us to our final tip for today.
Okay.
And it's probably the most important one.
All right.
The article simply says, don't kick yourself while you're down.
I like that.
The importance of self-compassion.
It's so important.
We've talked about this a bit already.
We have.
But it's worth repeating.
It really is.
Learning a new language can be tough. There will be times when you struggle.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to be mean to yourself.
I know.
When you make mistakes or feel like you're not learning fast enough.
It's natural to feel that way.
It is.
But you have to remember that everyone learns at their own pace.
Yeah.
And everyone makes mistakes.
That's true.
It's part of the process.
It's like learning to ride a bike, you know? You're going to fall down a few times.
Right.
But you just get back up and keep practicing until you get it.
Exactly.
The article is encouraging us to look at our mistakes as learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Instead of getting upset about them.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I'm so bad at English, I should say, I'm learning and I'm getting better every day.
I love that.
It's all about changing how you think about things.
Yeah.
From being self-critical to being encouraging to yourself.
Exactly.
That's what will help you stay motivated and reach your goals.
That's so true.
Well, that was an incredible journey through these unconventional language learning strategies.
It was fun.
I feel like I've learned so much.
You too.
And my mind is officially blown.
I know, right?
We covered so much today, but there's still more to talk about.
There is.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
It's good to be back.
In the last 2 parts, we explored all kinds of tips for learning English quickly. From, classic strategies to some more outside-the-box approaches.
I feel like I've already learned so much.
Me too.
But I'm ready for more.
Okay, great.
So this final set of tips from that EFGO blog article,
Right.
it's all about, pushing the boundaries of language learning.
Yeah.
And finding those new ways to make it both effective and enjoyable.
I like that.
Sounds exciting.
It is.
So what's the first unconventional strategy on the list?
This one might surprise you.
Okay.
It's about music.
Music.
Yeah, the power of music.
Okay.
Now you're probably thinking, I already listen to English music all the time.
Yeah.
What's so special about that?
Right.
But the article wants us to go a step further by actually engaging with the lyrics.
So read along with the lyrics while I'm listening.
Exactly. It might seem simple, but it actually works really well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for a few reasons.
Okay.
First, music has this special ability to tap into our emotions.
Right.
And that makes words easier to remember.
That's so true.
Yeah. I can still remember the words to songs from when I was a teenager, even though I haven't heard them in forever.
It's amazing, right?
It is.
How music can just stick in our brains.
Yeah.
And when you add in reading the lyrics, you're reinforcing your vocabulary and grammar in a way that's fun and interesting.
It's like I'm turning my favorite playlist into a language learning tool.
Exactly.
That's personalized for me.
Yeah, and you could even take it further.
Okay.
Look up the meanings of words you don't know, or even try to sing along.
Oh, like karaoke.
Yeah.
As a language learning tool.
Exactly.
I like it.
So what do you think?
I'm into it.
Good.
What's the next unconventional tip?
Okay, so this one is about embracing imperfection.
Okay.
The article says, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's much easier said than done.
I know, right?
Especially when I'm feeling self-conscious about my English.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah.
But making mistakes, it's actually a really important part of learning any language. Think about how kids learn to talk.
Okay.
They make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
But they don't give up.
Right.
They just keep practicing until they get it right.
That's a good point.
It's like giving yourself permission to be a beginner again, to experiment, and not worry so much about being perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the more you can be okay with making those mistakes, the faster you'll learn.
Okay.
Because each mistake is a chance to learn and get better.
So it's like getting feedback.
Yeah.
But in real time. So we should see mistakes is like stepping stones to fluency.
I love that.
Instead of failures.
Exactly.
Okay, so the final unconventional tip we'll talk about today might sound a little weird, but it's super powerful.
Right.
The article calls it Watch Movies and TV Series.
Okay.
Wait, watching movies can help me learn English.
It can.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's true.
Really?
I'm not saying you should just binge watch Netflix all day.
Right.
The key is to watch actively.
Okay.
And really pay attention to the language they're using.
So it's about more than just following the story.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Try watching with subtitles.
Okay.
And pause when you don't understand a word. Or rewind and listen to a phrase again.
Okay.
You can even try to copy the actors.
Like their pronunciation and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
My living room is an English classroom.
Totally.
That's cool.
And you'll be surprised how much you can learn just by watching and listening to native speakers.
This is making me rethink my movie nights.
Oh, good.
I'll be watching with my popcorn A&D, my vocabulary notebook from now on.
I love it.
It's a winning combo.
It is.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive on unconventional language learning, what are the big things you want our listeners to take away from this?
Okay, well,
what did I learn?
I think the biggest takeaway is that learning English quickly is not just about memorizing grammar and vocabulary. It's about making it fun and engaging and relevant to your life.
Exactly.
It's about using your passions. and being okay with making mistakes.
Right.
And always looking for new ways to interact with the language.
And it's about being patient
Yeah.
with yourself and celebrating even the small wins along the way.
That's so important.
It is.
Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to fluency.
Right.
So to our listeners, we challenge you to try something new.
Yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone. Experiment with these tips.
Right.
And see how much you enjoy learning English.
In a way that works for you.
And remember, we're here to support you on your journey.
Yeah, we are.
Keep exploring.
Keep practicing.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
That's all for this deep dive.
It is.
We'll be back next time with a new topic and new ideas.
Yeah, we will.
Until then, happy learning.
Bye, everyone.